really, Matt, thanks for hopping on and talking about some stuff, but really like to know a little bit about you, how you got your start in the swim school space, maybe a little bit about your background and where you are now.
Sure. How much time do we have?
As much time as we want.
Yeah, great. Yeah, no, so I work for Hubbard Family Swim School, Phoenix, Arizona. And I feel like when I started there, my entire life led me to this job, this business, this industry. Growing up as a swimmer in Kentucky, just kind of the summer league team kind of thing. My mom was the first swim coach, and in Kentucky, it's early mornings, and you're riding in the van to the pool that's not close, anywhere. But it sets a great foundation of being involved in sports. And I don't know if the viewers can see, but I am not a large person, and so football was not really an option, basketball not really an option, relatively uncoordinated. So, swimming just sort of fit. I
Yeah.
don't know. And had a lot of fun with it. It's the greatest thing about being on a swim team, I think, is you get the benefit of it being a team sport, but individual achievement, it's, comes down to the time. There's not, I can't do a sport where people are judging you.
Yeah.
I would fail miserably. So you put in the work, your times improve and show, but then you also have the team aspect of it. And I think you learn so much being on a team. So, so grew up swimming in college, and that sort of, it defined my life. Met my wife in college, and, moved out to Phoenix afterwards. And I'd been working for other places, small football team in Cincinnati called the Cincinnati Bengals. So a good organization there, doing nerdy IT things, but learned a lot. Then my wife was a nurse working at Cincinnati Children's Hospital, decided to move closer to where her family was and starting a family ourselves. Phoenix was the option, and got kind of introduced to the swim school world, and, checked all the boxes. I think there's nothing better than working with kids and doing something meaningful, and getting to, do something that your job's different every day. You're not sitting behind a desk, and you still get to be around sports, around activities, and all that. So we just check all the boxes.
Yeah. And you have a couple kids. You've got 5 kids, right?
Yeah, I think a couple. It moves beyond a couple. And then even several probably isn't quite the word for it. But
It's not. Yeah.
no, we have 5, and uh, thankfully my wife's a rock star.
Yeah. Yeah. Amen to that.
Well, she has 6, I guess, because she helps take care of me, right?
Yeah. So when you say the swim school space checked all the boxes, did you have kids prior to getting into the swim school space? Were they in swim school? How did you get really introduced there? Because if it did check all the boxes, you obviously fell in love with it somehow.
Yeah, I think as many swimmers, lifeguards, and things like that, when you're going to your one of your first jobs is teaching lessons.
Yeah.
Right. Whether that's rec league, whether that's whatever it is. And so I'd done that, and had a little bit of history teaching lessons, but mostly it's just that's how you make money as a high school kid, and you're a swimmer, and you're doing those things. So, I had taught some lessons before. I wanted to be involved in sports, and when I worked at Xavier University in Cincinnati, doing IT stuff, but I'm managing a department, and it was a lot of the student workers. So I was managing a group of college age kids and meeting like kind of first job type stuff. And it's challenging, but extremely rewarding to do that, and shaping somebody's early career or early job, because it
Yeah.
sets the stage for things. And
Not dissimilar from the swim school space. It sounds like you
right, so
probably
all of these things, right?
Yeah.
And all of these skills, like this job that did this job that did this. Like my undergraduate degree was in information systems, which is the computer science, but in the College of Business. So it's like nerd light. And you got to swim school, be involved in the marketing department and IT, and managing, creating the websites, and our integrating our systems, and things like that. Be involved in that space while also doing all of these other things. And then probably the biggest benefit, or the biggest draw, was the culture. And then Bob and Kathy Hubbard, at the head of the swim school, owners, co-founders, you could not ask for better mentors in
In
life,
life, yeah.
in business and
Exactly.
life and everything else. And that incredible coaching, teaching, gratitude philosophy just permeates the environment there, and it's contagious, and it's hard not to want to be involved there
Absolutely.
because
Yeah.
you just
That's
see
killer.
I'm going to grow here. I had a lot of growing to do,
Yeah.
and it was the
And I'm
right
sure
people.
Bob was patient with you.
Unbelievably. I mean, shockingly, quite frankly. But yeah, I mean, Bob and Kathy are like a dynamic duo that different sets of skills that completely balance each other. And there's just this level of mutual respect that's given to all that come through there. And like I said, it was a contagious environment. You just wanted to be a part of it, what was going on. And um,
Tell us about Hubbard Swim. I know where you're.
Yeah.
Where you guys located?
Sure. So started in Phoenix, Arizona, still in Phoenix, Arizona, and we have 4 locations, kind of in the greater, Phoenix area. And our, you know, maybe we'll get it. Maybe looking for another one. Maybe I don't know. But it's awesome because at that, second swim school, third swim school, the impact and the reach that you're having, which I think is a big part of why people get into learn to swim, is you have a passion, you have a desire to do good, or to have an impact in your job. And at the scale where we have more swim schools, that's more families. That's more we're doing in the community. It gives us more opportunity to be and do and all that. So it's awesome. It's really exciting. My One of my favorite things that kind of happens that keeps me passionate about doing this is 90% of my been in swim school for I think this is 18 years or 19 years. So most of my wardrobe is Hubbard Family Swim School stuff. Maybe a few little college shirts they're still around, right? But so you're out and about in the community, and people who come and approach you to share
That's powerful.
just because they see you at Hubbard, and they have
Yeah.
no idea what
Who
I
you
do for
are,
Hubbard, or whether I've been there a minute or a decade, and they come and they share, and it's just this like fills your cup, of, and it's not me that did it. It was a different instructor, you know, a grandmother who talked about, their child who's now, a parent, and it's generational. And knowing that, I'm a small part of what's happening with that, it's an incredible feeling. It's addictive in a way of, you're like, we got to do more of this.
Yeah.
We gotta
you
keep
guys,
doing it.
you guys have a ton of swimmers that come. How many swimmers come through weekly, I guess? And are the numbers different at every location?
Yeah, I mean, the numbers are obviously
Yeah.
super different. That's how we sort of measure what our impact is on the community,
Sure.
and things like that. But I think when we talk about the number of swimmers and things like that, and had this conversation with one of our leaders a couple of weeks ago, said, you know what the most important number is when you're talking to a parent, it's one. It's their one kid, you know. And so, yes, we have 4 locations, quite a few swimmers that come through there, but you can't lose sight of what's important to you as a parent. You're trusting us, your child. All those other numbers don't. We have experience, hopefully we've learned some things along the way to kind of get, but what matters to you is how am I going to treat you in your family, in your child? And am I prepared to do whatever it takes for you and your family? And I think for that, wanting you to be one of one, not one of many, as part of our program is a constant philosophy that we, try to empower all of our instructors and things to say, I need to do something different for this child. The normal playbook maybe isn't working exactly, and I need to treat you with the uniqueness that you deserve, and that family deserves, and things like that. So yeah, I mean, of course, numbers and stuff that give you experience, but I think that's the important part is getting involved and making sure that what's important to us is how do we make you feel when you came to us as a staff member, as a family, as a child, yeah. Are you coming to us and leaving kind of that, yeah, they feel good.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, after we've talked about stories and stuff, but you guys have such a special culture, it sounds like. And how does that trickle down to everybody? Like, obviously, Bob is there, but are there practices that you guys take? I mean, you were telling me about the amazing family dinners you guys do. Like, that's killer. But like,
Yeah.
how does it trickle down all the way to the swimmer? Like, what are you guys doing there?
Yeah, I mean, it's really it trickles up.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's both directions,
Okay.
really. So, your culture is uh, i- everything that you teach and you want and you allow, and if you allow people to come in and show that they're having a bad day, a bad mood, whatever, um, that that is part of the culture and things like that. And I think it's probably sounds super cliche, but when you have people who actually care, um, it gives you the space as a staff member comes in and it's like, wow, that the owner came through and knew my name. Bob comes through, and he said, "Hey, how are you?" And then stop and wait for the real answer. And asking that question as a perfunctory greeting. Hey, how's it going? Good. Yeah, yeah. And saying, no, really, like what's going on, and taking and actually caring, because those things matter, and it empowers the people who are on your team to do the same. And we have a pretty good culture of allowing the freedom to you know make mistakes, and that's okay. You know, you're going to do something differently than I would have done, but we might end up at the same place, and a lot of learning happens in that space. So, yeah, culture's a tricky one, and it just comes down to the people, and we have an incredible group of people who uh, I think are attracted to the swim industry in general, and then our hiring process uh, that we have really gets down to the meat of, you know, are you the right person to be with us?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
If you're the right person, we'll find you a seat on the bus.
Totally. Yeah,
That's,
I love that.
yeah.
And one thing we really like to talk, and we'll start to wrap it up, but uh, we really like to talk as Swimmingly how you guys are taking these kids through Learn to Swim, and then you obviously know this. The parents come to you and they're like, "Hey, what's next? You know, like where do I go from here?
Yeah.
How do you?" And the gap today, it's like swim school, the year-round swim team, whether it's they're going to Pitchfork or they're going to Phoenix Swim Club, whatever it is.
The name drop, local Arizona folks.
Trophy.
Yeah.
So how?
Xavier High School for the ladies. This is not a sexist thing.
So what is your guys' approach for that gap right there? Like, how are you guys, helping these kids move to the next step? For the ones that do want to,
Yeah.
not everyone does.
Yeah, there's the in between, and I think the in between of learn and competitive, and we have some programs, I think in Phoenix that are realizing that there's a gap. We have our high level is pre-team. It's introducing people to those concepts and things, but it's still once a week. And now there's a few of the organizations where they're offering these programs where it's not roll into you've been going 1 day a week to 6 days a week, oh, how you're 13, 14, yeah, we're going to start 2 days now. So before school, you're going to go and like, what?
Yeah.
And so having that little bit of let's foster the love of the sport. The swimming has so many things to offer, beyond just athletics. There's, like I said, there's nothing better for kids than being involved in sport, whether that's swimming or otherwise. A relationship with a coach, another person out there who is pushing you to be your best, and that's what sports allows. It's not a parent; it's a person, and like goal setting and all these life skills that you get that are so important at those ages, that teenage, pre-high school, high school ages that are very formative, and having a group of friends, and unique to swimming, I think too, is where you see teams that it's boys and girls together building these relationships and friendships where it's not awkward, and it's boys and girls separately on separate teams. It's a really great thing. So I think what I see is that filling the gap there of a moderately competitive thing, and it's like what I think we talked about this yesterday briefly, but what do your kids love about sports? The game, the competition, right? That piece of it, and good, bad, or indifferent. The ratio in swimming of practice to competition is there's an imbalance. There's a significant imbalance there, and finding ways for little opportunities to create those measurement points or those competitive points, or let me measure, how am I doing, right? A check-in, and compete, and you versus me, or you versus the clock, like any of those things. And I think that's what drives enjoyment or passion for the sport, is having that in maybe a lower pressure environment where we can see our progress reflected in some way.
So for the preteen group, it's one session a week.
Yeah, once a week.
So are you teaching them the lingo?
Yeah.
Okay? And then
you got to introduce them to all the things, and our pools are purpose built for
learn to swim.
where we're the best in maybe the world. I don't know. We're really good, but where we shine, I think, is our infant programs. So no, we're not doing 25s and 50s with the infants. But the pools are purpose built for learn to swim, not deep water. It's shallow. So in that, it's not a 25-meter competition pool. It's shorter, but we introduce the language, right? Like we're doing 25s and 50s. And what does that mean? Well, it's 1 lap and 2 laps, and then, you get into the base, a length or a lap. And
Totally.
I still don't know the answer.
I don't either.
Is it down and back?
I call it a lap. I've never used length.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah, a lap. It is a lap. One, like A to B?
One.
Yeah.
That's 1 lap.
1 lap. Right.
Which is probably not right.
I think a lap is down and back.
Yes, but I call it, if I'm going to that side of the pool, it's a lap.
I think so. I'm down. I'm down with it. I think we're wrong, but it's
probably, yeah.
So introducing the lingo and, structuring it such that, we're in the water hands-on, but at our highest level, we have one of the coaches who's out and another one that's in the water. So introducing to the concept of the coach on deck and a set. We're going to give you some instructions, and we do have the pace clock, and we're going to on the top, and what does that mean? Little things, right? And it's like like one thing a week, right? And you just kind of use the language, and our goal is not to create competitive swimmers. Our goal is to teach kids skills that last a lifetime, and that's a love of the water, a love and enjoyment of water, where you can vacation, you can snorkel, triathlete. If being confident in the water and comfortable in the water, I think, affords you so many opportunities, for your whole life.
Yeah,
for your whole life. So, it's
obviously not the competitive piece. That's not the most important piece, but you're always going to have those kids where you're like, wow, this kid might have it. Like, and you're like, yo, Phoenix Swim Club, this kid might be ready. I don't know if you guys ever do that, but
we have, those conversations. I think we've had the head coaches kind of come in and talk to some of our parents and things like that. Actually, one of the cool things that we've started doing recently is, one of the things I think Kathy is she's brilliant with curriculum, and has brought that through, of constantly tweaking, constantly changing, throughout our last 20, 25, 8-year history. We're never standing still. We're always tweaking, learning, and recently brought in some high-level competitive swimmers and help of someone from Phoenix Swim Club, and we're tweaking some of our language that transitions better into join a swim team, and the strokes have changed.
oh, totally. Yeah.
Breaststroke is a different stroke from when I was swimming it. And
then
still looks mostly the same. It's still
and now you have the breaststroke, the underwaters. It's like
and so what are we? Well, we can't ignore that. We're learning to swim, and at those levels, we need to be teaching you the proper foundations so that our swimmers are successful. And if you want that for you, our job should be to build you up so that you can be beyond whatever that looks like in high school or whatever, or even if it's just rec league,
Yeah.
of senior school league and all that. I think that that's something that I'm proud that our team thinks about those things and that it's not going to be the path for the majority of our swimmers. People coming to us at such a young age, it's all about safety.
Yeah. Because you got to take off your competitive swimmer hat yourself, right? Like that thing sits over here, and it might come up this amount of time at the swim schools, but like, it's not a topic of conversation.
No,
That
I
often.
mean, no, I mean, it's, we're talking about colors and shapes and bluey,
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
and,
Yeah.
and those kinds of things. But, and also, I think the other thing too is that we have such an opportunity where we are working with families. So it's not just the child, the parents who come in or grandparents but the family comes in. There's a really cool like educational opportunity where the swimmers are in with us and you see the feedback that we get where, my gosh, like I'm using that with all my kids, where it's like accounting or a, thing, or we're doing this at home in the bathtub and it's like, yeah, we're teaching you to be a better parent. Like that's
bit.
cool. Like they're taking these skills and things that we're teaching our better people, better teachers, better whatever. And that's transitioning to our community. And that's the kind of the cool part about this is like you see these like ripples of impact that are happening by what we get to do. And that's completely unrelated to the competitive side.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it goes back to the culture too. Like you guys have set such a great culture at your swim schools. And one thing that I love, because my daughter's 4 and she's at Safe Splash and she's had the same instructor for 3 years and she loves Mr. Caleb and all that stuff. So
These
culture,
kids are heroes.
yes.
These kids are heroes.
So from a cultural standpoint, how do you guys get them staying for as long as you can so those kids have a better experience?
I mean, yeah, that's the $1 million question is our goal is to, again, create the environment where not everybody that comes through our program as a staff member is going to be there forever. Can't be the case. And that's an unattainable goal for us. Our goal is you look back, to look back at your time with Upward Family Swim School and say, that was the best job I ever had. Yeah, and it's like it kind of comes back into, it's one of my favorite quotes, but it's like people don't remember like what you did or what you said. They remember how you made them feel, and not to get so philosophizing about it or whatever, but it's true that if you treat everyone well, like that, that's the biggest thing, and fairly, right? And can we make this an environment where you come in as a swim teacher, and if you choose to grow with us, we can provide you that opportunity. And would you be here for a short time that you feel that you're supported, you had an opportunity, you learned something, and you made an impact while you're here. So I think that's a lot of what we do. Is it's important for us. It's not the customer is always right. It's take care of your team. Yeah, and, we're not perfect in that by any stretch, but it's a goal and you try and, I hope everybody that, comes through is I think people see that as they we make an effort, that everybody feels like it's, one again, core values and all, are a big part of who we are, and it comes into all the conversations. It's not just the paper on the wall, and it's, everyone is family. And that the nuance of that is, as Bob says, it doesn't mean that, oh, we're brothers or oh, we're whatever. It's like I'm going to treat you like a family member. And he goes, family member? You always love me. You don't always like me. And that's the reality of the situation. And it's like, I'm going to tell you the truth because I love you and I want what's best for you. But if you're doing this, like, I don't like you right now with what you're doing, and together let me help. Yeah, let me help you, raise the bar and so it's like treating everybody like family, and that's with staff and with the families and everything else. And like I said, doesn't mean that we're all, rainbows and unicorns and happy, but it means that I'm gonna respect you, and respecting you is like a higher bar of respect you enough to tell you the truth or to be on your side, like in your corner, and like let's get better, you know. And it takes work, and that's and make sure to well, the best advice, right? The best advice that I've ever gotten from Bob, which is marriage advice, and it's
So make sure to. I'm just reminding myself here to clip this later, so I can use it.
no, it's simple. But he said, you need to have a date night with your wife every week. Make time for it. And the bar is very low. It doesn't have to be fancy dinner, fancy whatever, but it needs to be shared time with your spouse, intentional, without children. And he's like, you should dating your partner for your whole life. With kids and things in work and jobs and things get chaotic,
Always.
you got to keep doing the work together so that that's your team one. That's your team. It's you're together.
So that's Hubbard Family Swim School's way of continuous dating.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I mean, when you told me that story, I was like, that's so awesome.
Yeah, it's funny. Like that's Bob's kind of go-to piece of advice, but he backs it up, and that's like they still go out, have date nights, and like I said, it doesn't need to be something fancy. It could be take 20 minutes and go for a coffee, go for a walk around the neighborhood, take the dog for a walk together, but it's intentional and make time and space in the chaos that happens with life and everything else that and we try our best for it. And my wife will tell you, as she tells me, how often I'm an idiot, but it's good feedback, and we need that. It's good feedback, right? And opportunity to get it off your chest. And
You have to have it.
let me know what I need to work on this week.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that's awesome, man. Well, thanks a ton for joining this. We love doing this. We love hearing how you guys are doing. But
Yeah.
everyone, Matt Young, Hubbard Family Swim School, thanks a lot, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.